Major, can we go to the pub yet, please?
Yeah, but did he not speak something like this, Elf?
Oh wow! I'm getting a lovely even tan from my bedroom. Wow, it's a really uncomfortable 28 degrees. Oh.
Everybody, and welcome to a special end-of-year edition of the Neutral Cider Hotel. I am the ciderologist, Gabe Cook, author of 2021's most significant book, I would say, Modern British Cider.
Most significant book ever.
What was that, James? What was that James fellow cider book, Gabe?
James Crowden?
Yeah.
Cider Country, been nominated for the Andre Simon Book Awards. I don't know. It's anyway. Moving on.
Andre
Joining me, Andre Simon was.
Don't plug someone else's shit more.
Okay.
Carry on.
Joining me on this 12-month review are the wonderful Martyn Goodman-Sharman and Mr. Grant Hutchison. And as ever, pulling the strings or not pressing the buttons, come on, Mr. Scott Riggs, producer. Thank you very much.
There you go.
On this special bonus episode of the Neutral Cider Hotel, we'll be reflecting on the year that was 2021, highlighting some of our favourite movies, music, TV shows, and moments of the year. But first, before we get into our review of 2021, naturally, we're going to quickly look ahead to 2022. What does this next 12 months hold for us, for cider, for the world? What are we looking forward to? What are we expecting? What do we think, chaps?
I think better conspiracy theories. That's what I want to see, because I heard a new one that the booster jab is killing people, that it was actually meant to track. And they're just getting a bit inconsistent now. So I want...
Wait. You just heard that one? That one has been going around in the States for about a year.
So for here, it's always been that they're trying to track you with a chip. But now people the same group are going, yeah, they're killing us. So they were tracking you. They were tracking you to kill you.
Well, they tracked you.
Maybe.
They tracked you. They realised how fucking useless you were. And they went, yeah, just kill them. They're not. Just kill them. Oh dear.
No. that's the opener of the show already, Grant. And track him and kill him.
You brought it up.
I just said better conspiracy theories as like a throwaway joke, and you've just leaned in with your like, maybe there'll be sleeves to the spiders.
I know. I barely had a drink yet either. Get ready.
Well, drink is one. Cider. I want to see the sort of output from this year's harvest coming over the next year. Like, I know we've already had it with some new ciders like the Disco Nouveaux and all the Nouveaux of the year, but from talking to different producers, Sam at Wildin was saying that the bricks on all his fruit have been higher than they've ever been. So there's probably a cider horse question here. Cider horse.
I was about to say cider horse. There it is. Not seen for a very long time.
He forgot his name. Poor horse of knowledge. I still care about you. I still care about you, horse of knowledge. Even if Martyn
the horse
doesn't.
of knowledge has made a very belated appearance late in the game in 2021. It turns up because Martyn described a cider, or rather, let's say, the apples containing lots of bricks. Now, we're not talking about bricks and mortar here, are we? We are talking about the degrees bricks is the amount of sugar that's contained within the apples, and is a correlation for the amount of alcohol potentially that the cider will be containing. So if something has got a high degree of bricks, that means it's going to have a higher ABV level. So this is quite interesting. That's what we've been hearing in the cider community, is it, Martyn?
Yeah. From a few, and the benefit of being Cider's hit on Instagram is that different cider makers chat to you, and Sam from Wilding's one where he's been like, can you ask James at Little Pomona how they've been doing? And then James will be like, can you find out from him? So I've just been an in-between. I don't even know what bricks
cider
is.
mole.
Cider's mole.
Cider horse
That's
and the cider
nickname.
Mole.
That's going to stick as well. Fucking hell.
Cider mole, you must have a particular... You must have a particular interest because you've worked on a harvest for Little Pomona, and so you've had massive input into how their whole range of ciders have started their life and how they're going to contribute. So you must have a particular interest to see how those evolve and develop over time, and no doubt have some pride over the contribution they had towards them as well.
Exactly, and it is a case that you do feel pride over the tiniest things. So even when when it's nothing even important, you're like, oh yeah, look at this cider. It's just brilliantly labeled. It's been really well hand capped, that one. So any pride I can take, but it is genuinely, I am excited looking at the fruit that came in this year. The trials and tribulations of getting fruit that you thought you were going to get, the ones you didn't think you were going to get, what came in that didn't come up to expectations. So it's just interesting to see how all the cider makers that I've talked to have said this harvest has been for them, and the decisions on top of that of where barrels are coming in. A lot of people don't know that due to Brexit, and I'm blaming Brexit, the barrels have pretty much quintupled in price recently. Ooh. So there'll be a different change from certain makers who were going to make the leap into that side of investment. So it's just, I'm excited to see what happens with the juice that we drink next year.
Lots of ex whiskey barrels probably then. Scotch whiskey barrels are probably going to be the cheap option.
Could have a distinctly peaty, smoky characteristic.
No, the opposite. Everyone's like, yeah, we really love this blue oak, this plastic.
The blue oak, yes.
Of course.
Micropore oxidation at its best. Guess what? You're describing some of the trials and tribulations that cider makers have to do. Guess what? That's why I don't try and earn a living by being a cider maker. It's a crazy hard task, and my hat goes off to any of them. But I will also say, watch out. I know it's quite threatening, but watch out, okay? Yeah. From a competition level, anyway, because my 100 litres is bubbling away, my brother's cellar. You watch out. Tom Oliver, watch out. Albert Johnson, I've got your number. James Susan Forbes, I'm watching it. Okay? This is I will see you at the Big Apple or anywhere, and I'm going to take you down. I'm taking it down. Oh, that is only 74% justified, Scott. I will let that lie.
So our big featured guest next season will be Gabe, the cider maker, and we will have replaced you with just some unanimous weird fruit. I think a banana would be a great replacement for Gabe on the show.
Thank you.
Grant, what are you looking forward to next year? Come on.
So I think hopefully seeing some Scottish ciders get out and about around the UK. There's been a bunch sort of released in the tail end of this year, and they haven't really made it outside of Scotland yet. But there's so many new makers, and there's a few that are taking it quite seriously. So it'd be good to see some of them, like Diggers, Perthshire cider, Dower cider. Although I think there might be a name change involved there to
Lynn.
They don't want to present themselves as the miserable cider company. Why?
I love that.
I know. Well, I don't know. I can't,
because they're the opposite of miserable. They're lovely.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because I don't think it's been confirmed. But they do have an Instagram now. So, So cat's out the bag.
We could be talking about any other Dower cider maker. They're all Dower.
There's quite a few of them, yeah. And Norton cider as well, which Gabe, you came up and visited Peter there. So he's in Fife as well. He's just released his first one. He is a champagne guy, traditionally, and by that I mean one of the most knowledgeable champagne people certainly I've ever met, and probably in the UK, if not further beyond. And he's gonna take that approach and that technique and apply it to cider, which is
lack of
super
cash
interesting.
flow. Wicked.
I know.
His first product is called Homage to Hog, which it's very kind of him to address it to my mum, whose maiden name is Hog. I'm not quite sure why he's done that, but it's very, very generous and kind.
Gabe,
of him.
that slapped me with like 3 different layers of that. So I can't imagine listening into this on New Year's Day when you're a little bit hungover. Yeah, wow. Oh my God.
There is the possibility that it might be called Homage to Hog because Hog off of Hog and Bull, late 19th century pomologists, creators of the Herefordshire Pomona, and other tomes that noted about the different varieties and sort of, their constituents and flavor profiles. So he's created something which is very much trying to celebrate the heritage of cider and perry, but also present something that's ultra modern at the same time. I haven't had a chance to sort of try it once it's been all sort of packaged up, but looking forward to it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Single variety Arlington Mill.
Speaking of old boring books, Gabe, have you got anything coming out next year that we can be excited for? 2021, 2022?
Oh no!
Any translations? Any Hungarian translations of ciderology?
Hungarian?
Hungarian. We don't know this is in Hungary.
Are you
Hungary?
Hungary.
Are you speaking so quickly that you can't afford the extra syllable in there? Hungarian.
I honestly think that Hungarian cider has just gone right through me. Oh no. Oh, I didn't study geography, okay, Gabe? So don't mock an uneducated man.
That's all right. There's no plan at the moment for ciderology to be released in any other languages as yet. But if anybody's interested, then you are welcome. Get in touch.
The Hungarian market are hungry for it. That's the thing.
Modern Hungarian cider. The outsider's view.
Oh, we've lost it. We've lost it.
Well, Gabe, what are you looking forward to for the next year as well?
Really, really crucially was going to be CiderCon, 1st to the 4th of February, Richmond, Virginia, world's largest cider gathering. The way that things are flowing Omicron-wise at the moment, that may or may not be the case now.
But were that to happen, they did do a very good digital online one this year, and I know that was going to be a big part of this one as well anyway, so that people who aren't there can still join. So it's still something to look forward to, is what I'm saying.
It is. I'm saying thank you. Well done, Grant. It's not like you to be positive. This is great. Thank you very much. Thanks. Are you drunk?
Who's this guy?
His New Year's resolution is just to be really positive. It's working wonderfully.
And most crucially, and I'll try not to get too excited about it because I think that there might be further conversations to be had. Of course, it's all about tax. There are these big tax changes potentially happening in the UK, which hopefully, if all things go well, will provide a great platform and opportunity for smaller cider makers if the detail is done correctly. But why skim over that when we can give you like a whole hour for it at a later date? You wait for that one, people. Yes. I know you're hanging off the edge of your seat.
When people hear the word Neutral Cider Hotel, and it is one word, they think honest, hard-hitting journalism. And I think that's what we can give them.
Yeah. My word of the sorry, I don't know.
No, go on. No, you've leaned in now. Come on.
Well, no, but I say my word. We're looking forward to 2022. Maybe it's the word that I'll be using more in 2022.
Effervescent.
No. Omnibibulous.
Oh yeah, omnibibulous.
Omnibibulous.
Compound drinking.
Yeah, so the consumption of many different drinks, which is something that it's a lifestyle as well as well as a.
Rachel Hendry came out with compound drinking, and it summed it up. And you've gone, oh, actually, I might get in on that action and just replace that word with a Gabe word. Is that what's happening?
I didn't actually make it up. It is a pre-existing word. I just stumbled across it, and
she discussed it in.
She did.
An article that she'd written anyway.
That's right. Martyn. So it's not competition. Come on, you're always trying to drive a wedge, aren't you? Yeah, gosh, it's always
that's my New Year's resolution. Drive more wedges.
My friend Rachel thought of it first.
Cider mole.
Yeah, cider mole.
Just more like if I did anything and it was like, oh, that's all right, and then Gabe went, hang on, I'm gonna twist this and Omnicron.
Gabe's not the twister. Yeah. I think we've been doing this long enough to know who the twister is.
It's Scott,
the Cornish pixie. Okay, now
Scott, what are you looking forward to in 2022?
Specifically, I am looking forward to good ciders making it across the entire U.S. So it seems like the U.S. is very regionalized, right? Like if you're in certain markets, you can get great ciders, but they don't cross state lines very often, or at least not enough state lines. And to that end, I'm just going to put it out here on the podcast today for our friend, Mr. Gidon Cole over at Original Sin Cider. He has been sitting on a stack of papers to fill out to get his ciders sent to California. And I've been reminding him for about 4 months to fill them out, and he hasn't done it yet. So now the challenge is on you, Gidon. Get those papers so I can drink your delicious cider here in California.
Are you drinking anything now?
I am drinking Original Sin.
Where did you get that?
Newtown Pippin. Let's see. I got one from our friend South Ciders. He included one, and one from Gidon himself. But can I go to a store and get it? No, I cannot. So that's a big one for 2022.
Accessibility to good cider is probably the most noble of the things we're looking forward to now. And other than that, for us in the UK, it's a party at Downing Street. That's definitely what we're looking forward to.
Bravo. Well, there we go then. That's our little looking into our crystal ball for what 2022 may hold. All right, that's enough of that. Now let's get on to our review of the year that was 2021. Here at the Cider Hotel, it's time to get onto our review of 2021. Producer Scott has given us 5 different categories where we've had to select our finest features of the last 12 months. And we're going to start off with music, everybody. What has been our finest music produced in 2021? Martyn, do you want to kick us off?
Not released, produced. So it's not out yet. No, my music of the year, I don't know about you guys, but it has been tough. Personally, a lot of people have had it. And I think one album spoke to me more so than the others. And I think I needed it at this time. And it was Limp Bizkit, Still Sucks. It was a...
Oh, no.
It was a lifeboat when I was at... No, I'm not even kidding. Hearing the opening riff on that album made me feel like I was 13 again. And I needed just that. It was a fucking perfect time for Fred Durst to come back in my life and go, oh! So yeah, that was genuinely... I'm not even kidding. That was genuinely the music that made me happiest this year.
Was that their... like... Because I listened to them when I was growing up as well, but like had they like Was this them getting back together? I haven't really kept up with it, or were they just kind of on a hiatus?
You haven't
or like,
kept up with Limp Bizkit?
Not a little bit. No.
I did send Fred a message. He didn't respond back. So,
He only responds to his mates. That's the thing.
yeah.
Cheers, Fred.
Add him to the list of celebrities that ignore you, Gabe. It's getting quite a long list now, isn't it? Ellie Goulding.
I know. No, that's not true. Ellie didn't ignore me. That is an totally unjustified moi, I think you'll find. Ellie, we've got a dialogue. It hasn't continued since May, but that's not the point. She's had a child. She said she'd get back to me forthwith once she'd had the child. So Ellie, if you're listening, which you're not, I'll get in touch with you very soon. But apart from Ellie, yes, you're right. Everybody else of any vague infamy or for me has ignored me. Yes, it's true.
Oh, dear.
To answer your long question there, Grant, they got rudely interrupted by Gabe trying to save some face. It was they released an album 10 years ago called Gold Cobra, which I loved because, again, made me feel like I was 13 when I was 20. But no one liked it except me, apparently. And they've just been one of those kind of touring little bands that have their stage shrunk. And then with this year, it was the release of the Woodstock documentary, which
of course, yeah.
I'm going to say, obviously I'm biased because of Limp Bizkit, but if you watch what actually happens on the video footage, they cut out all the bits where all the bands are going, guys, can you stop doing this? But they just show Fred going, "We're gonna break some shit tonight," and it's just a bad time. But I capitalized on that and released, I think, the most nonsensical fun that I've had in a while. And it is stupid, and it's got a cover of an INXS song on it that doesn't really fit in anything. And there's a weird version of like them trying to do Drake. But do you know what? I didn't care because it was like hanging out with someone that you went to school with and you ask them what they're doing these days. And it doesn't matter because you spent so much time with them in your youth that it just felt like going home.
Well, and you were talking about their stage shrinking, but then with the release of this record, they also played Lollapalooza, and it looked like that Woodstock crowd. Like it was one of the biggest crowds they probably have ever played to.
I mean, they're they're a perfect festival band. Like I would probably go and see them at a festival, not to hear any of the new stuff, but that's not why you go to festivals, So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. There's plenty of bands from that era that I would probably quite love to see, as long as they stuck to the classics. But most people do it at a festival.
But that is
do not play anything original.
That
please.
is a big problem with rock music and why it is dying out. Is because if you look at every festival lineup, and I mean obviously the pandemic's changed things, but it's been stuck in like a 10, even 20-year cycle. And all the metal festivals this year are being like led by literally bands from the 70s that are coming back for one more go. And it hasn't evolved into anything. So here I am mocking them for trying things. And like I want the classics and it's just nonsense. But rock is kind of dead. It's kind of shit.
I mean, the darkness.
Wow. Oh, this is brilliant. I'm just going to sit back.
Shots fired.
Yeah, look at this. This is good.
Yeah, anyone want to write in their favorite modern rock bands, and I'll tell them they're wrong. That's fine. That is absolutely
You can get
fine.
in touch with us at speakpipe/Neutral Cider Hotel / Martyn, you're wrong. I don't know what the you're not. You can't be wrong because it's all opinion.
So you're saying,
and Martyn.
wait, Martyn. So you're saying that Biffy Clyro is not relevant anymore?
When I hear Simon's handsome voice, I just think he's dead to me.
Wow.
Oh, you're cringing. You're cringing saying that.
I know.
Like, you did it for the joke, but you don't believe it with all your heart. Oh, Martyn, you're so sweet.
Simon
Top of the
pauses
show. Top of
this
the show.
episode, and his partner's like, "Are you okay, Si?"
Little tear running down the side of his cheek.
I can't talk right now.
It's over. It's over.
Grant, tell us about your favourite bit of music for this last year.
My favourite album of this year was an album called Sour by Olivia Rodrigo. And it is just the most unadulterated cheesy pop. that you'll hear, but like with a little kind of Avril Lavigne-esque angst in there as well. You know, it's not like pure saccharine, but it just, I don't know, it totally caught me and just like held me, and I just couldn't stop listening to it. It's just fucking brilliant. And there's been, you know, she's had to like give other writers credits on a few of the songs because of the similarities to their tunes, but has been fairly open about that fact. And then also there's one song at the start of the opening track which is bears a striking resemblance to like Elvis Costello, and when he was asked about it, he was like, well, yeah, but that's what I did. Like, that's what music is, you know, you take what someone else has done and you make it your own, you know, and like, you know, why would I ask for money from her for doing that when I did it myself? So that was kind of refreshing. But yeah, it just pop. I think I just love pop music, and I think again this year, following on from the previous year, just needed something that you didn't have to overthink, and just put it on and just be like, yes, this is fucking brilliant. And all these melodies are now in my head for the next few hours, days, weeks, months. Just great. And I can't wait to see what kind of show she'll put on as well. Because pop shows are just such a spectacle. So yeah, I can't even remember how I came across it. Obviously it was massive, but I don't really listen to the radio or like, I don't have Facebook, and so it's not something that I would naturally come across or anyone would recommend me. I think it just sort of basically popped up on Spotify, and I was like, well, let's give that a go. Yeah, absolutely fell in love.
Well, that album's interesting because it broke through in a way that a lot of pop records didn't. If you look at best of albums on a lot of different indie sites and things like that, that record is in the top 10 of a lot of people's best ofs for the year. And a lot of pop records don't break through, like even Adele's or anything else didn't get high in the rankings, but hers did. And I think it's to your point, it's because of her age and her angst and her creativity and what she did. It really felt like a different kind of pop record that resonated. And maybe it's also the time and what you're going through.
And she's a writer on all of the songs. That's another thing I checked. I was like, you know, nowadays when you you look at pop songwriting credits, there's usually about 12 people on the list, and on most of these it's just 2. It's just her and the producer.
10 is fine. 11 questionable.
10,
12 is too much.
Not so much.
You're really pushing it.
I wanted to ask you, because there was a picture you uploaded of you getting back behind the drums. Were there any tracks on there where you were like, oh, I just want to slam some fucking drum skins to this?
On Sour?
Yeah.
On her record. Yeah, good for you. I mean, it's just a tune. It just, yeah.
That's the name of a song, by the way, if you don't know. The way you said it is like, good for you,
Martyn. Well done.
Good for you, Martyn.
What a great question, Martyn. You've turned this into a weird interview, Martyn. Oh, so smart.
God. I've known you for like
That's
2
how I
years
talk.
now.
I'm really he. I'm also Scoose.
I haven't actually played that one, but I think I will.
But that the reason I lean into that is because I know on the kind of discover icon of Instagram, I go on that, and for some reason I get thousands. I liked one drum cover once, so then I now get like, oh, you like drum covers, and loads of them are the opening track. And what's good is it's it's loads of teenagers recording themselves drumming, but it's her album is like about half of the music on there. It's like it's
really
mad, but it's such a good slamming pop album that like. The beats are banging as well. Like it does just flow heavily, other than when it's quiet and it's nice. But yeah, I've had that album on loop as well, and it's one that we've had on in the car together, Hannah and I, and loved it.
Yeah, brilliant. Gabriel, let's come to you.
Yeah, I found this one I found it quite tough actually, this question, because the vast majority of stuff I was listening to was was not produced this year. I was having a deep dive into lots of different bits, into a lot of reggae and dub and all sorts of things. And so there wasn't actually a huge amount of new music on my list. I was having a look through Spotify and things earlier on, but there was actually from beginning of the year when things were a little challenging. We were in full lockdown, and there wasn't an album by an artist called Caliber. He's a drum and bass artist from Northern Ireland, and he produces these really deep, almost kind of mournful and soulful kind of beats. And so that was one of my most played albums. I just haven't listened to it for a long time, but it was certainly provided a bit of a cocoon and was reflective of the time and this place. And actually, I did a huge amount of writing for Modern British Cider to this album.
Scott leaning over trying to find the pad. You didn't expect
get it into what's your favourite music of 2021. My favourite book was.
Come on, you must all know by now that regardless of the topic, I will do fewer than 6 degrees of separation back to Modern British Cider. Maybe that's a game for the future.
Scott, can you do a horse of knowledge a sec? Gabe, what is dub reggae?
Dub, reggae. Or
David Brent over here.
dub, reggae.
Dub,
reggae. And reggae. There should have been something in between those two words. So yeah, that was my...
it's got Jet Li on one of these songs.
What?
Caliber
I'm not
and
sure
Jet
if that
Li.
is the actual, if that's the actual actor.
Oh, right.
It might be.
Well,
it could be.
It's a song called Black Mountain. Caliber and Jet Li. I'll be listening to that later.
This is the plug he wanted as well.
And he didn't know.
Caliber and Jet Li.
Jet Li.
And how about you, producer Scott? What was top of your list this year?
I think, like you, I didn't listen to as much new music as I have in the past, so it was a little bit of a challenge. But I did kind of bounce in and out through playlists, and so there was a few, like The War on Drugs and Wolf Alice. There was a couple records, Casey Musgrave's new one and Mogwai. But I think the one that I listened to the most, and I'm cheating a little bit by putting this as an album, but I think, and Martyn will know, is the record Inside by Bo Burnham, which is the audio of his Netflix special that he did. You lose about 20% of the laughter of the joke without the visual element of it, but it's still a really funny, and the music is really good. And so I just put that on a lot just because I wanted to laugh. And so if you have not heard that record, it's on Spotify. It was released as a record as well. It is a compendium to the Netflix Netflix show, but it's just really funny and makes me laugh every time I hear it. So
it's a fucking banging album.
Yeah.
I jested and put Limp Bizkit in my thing, but that album was like, my Spotify rap was like, you listen to a lot of this comedy special album. And what's crazy is, and tells me how I listen to it, the most played track is the opening track, which isn't even a mad track. It just shows that I just went play and it just looped as I traveled back and forth from Hereford. It's fucking, I
need to watch it. I need to watch it. And
so if you don't know, Bo Burnham is a comedian, but he plays music in his sets. Yeah. So he mixes a lot of music. Music is a big part of his comedy. And last year he created this Netflix special all about being in lockdown. So the premise of it is he locked himself basically in a little room above his garage in his apartment. And for like, who knows how long, but just sat there and created. It was all 100% like just creation in the room type of thing for a while. And you see his hair getting longer as he's filming throughout the thing. And a lot of statements on society and just so funny. And it really connects with my sense of humor. So well worth your time. It's on Netflix. It's called Inside. And then you can get it on Spotify for the music.
All right, there we go. So that was our top tips for the music of 2021, an eclectic bunch there, as there always is with us. Now we are on to TV show. Now I reckon there might be a chance that two of us might have selected the same one here. I wonder, Grant, what have you gone for?
I have gone for Mayor of Easttown. which
good choice.
Yeah, which we watched. We did that thing where we kind of heard about it halfway through it being aired, so kind of watched like, because I think it was only 6 episodes or something. It was quite one of the shorter ones, and watched like 3 or 4, and then we're like, oh shit, we have to wait now, because we got so used to being able to binge everything, and it was just so good. Kate Winslet, Roy from The Office, his name I don't actually know, and just it's just brilliant. Just reminded me of like The Killing, like Happy Valley, and I just think nowadays to be able to do a kind of crime thriller, is there's so many of them, like it's and just to do it and keep it interesting, make it interesting, and make the outcome, make the ending, shock and surprise you, and is a real skill. And it just the acting was brilliant. The whole the whole town, everything they created, this really intense sense of place, and it was just it was excellent, really, really good. And it's one of those ones I'm like, do I want to see another one? Do I want to see another series? Do I want it just to be what it was? Because it was so good.
Did you guys watch Top of the Lake?
No, I did start it and I never.
Yeah, that came out about 2013 or something like that.
Elizabeth Moss.
The only reason I brought it up, season 1, I was literally like, stunning, same reaction as that. And then season 2, Hannah watched it and I was like, they've fucked it, they've ruined it. No,
yeah.
But yeah, well, I was like, more, and then you go, no, the curse. Why did I open the box?
It's like that Le Revenant, the one that Mogwai soundtracked, and series 1 is incredible, and I haven't watched series 2 because everyone said it was dog shit, and I don't feel like I need to either, because the first one was so great. It left you without answers, but that doesn't matter.
That's fine.
It was
closure
totally
isn't
fine.
everything.
Well, to be fair, if it's made in America, we definitely overmake our series, right? Like, I think
you love closure.
British,
you love like multiple closures.
Yeah, and
that closure,
we're going to reopen it. You're a doctor that like cuts open a scar and then sews it back together.
Should we sew it up
in infinite loop?
I mean, I have to say, compared to what we're used to here, whenever I see British series and it's like 6 episodes and that's season 1, I'm always like, there's so little here. It feels like I need more, but I don't, because they're very satisfying. I'm just so used to having a 23 episode arc or whatever, 15 plus episode arc for season 1.
Did any of you guys watch Lost?
Yes.
I stopped
season 1.
Yeah. Like most people.
Season 1, J.J. Abrams, and then season 2 onwards is David Lindemann, I think, Lindelof. Yeah. And the studio were like, we need more. And he was like, max, I think we should do is 2 more. And that's a lot. And they were like, we were thinking 12 more. And they had a compromise of 8. And you're like, oh, the fact that he had to say 8, I can stretch this to 8. Just tells you how horrible it is. So yeah, I'd rather have 6 episodes of perfection than 420 of.
Well, and most people think that the last 2 seasons were pretty brutal on Lost. Like, we got 5 and 6.
I actually didn't. I didn't finish it. I got to the penultimate series and spent. This is utterly ridiculous.
Gabe, your program then, bud. Is it the same?
Onwards, we continue. Do you know what? Mayor of Easttown was my number 2, and number 1. Succession. I haven't even finished season 3. I'm only part way through it. I know. And it is, I actually watched the first 2 series earlier this year. It's been a new latter sort of discovery for me. It is just one of the best series I have ever watched. The acting is brilliant, but the writing Jesse Armstrong, British, Peep Show, lots of different things. He brings that sort of British sensibility in the humor to the table, but in the most acerbic and frightening and grotesque, hilarious way. It is amazing. I've
only just started watching it.
Anybody hasn't watched it, just go. Just watch it. Just watch it. It is one of the. I think it's up there as a top 5 series ever for me.
I know, Gabe. I know your love for The Sopranos is pretty strong. When you say Succession is one of the best TV shows ever, is it? I
think The Soprano The Sopranos is the top. But this is wedging its way into there. Maybe number 2. I don't know. It's just so good.
We started Succession this year as well, but we've not even finished season 1, so didn't feel like I can't comment on the series that was actually released this year. So therefore, it's not. We're enjoying it, but maybe when we've got some time off, we'll batter through 1, 2, and 3. What are we on? 3?
Yeah.
Series 3? Yeah. So I think I'll binge it, but it's pretty amazing.
And just a reset for those that don't know, this is a show about, it's kind of loosely based on the Murdochs, if you will, the people who own in the UK. What do they own?
Everything.
They own
Sky.
Sky.
They own Sky. They own the Sun.
Sun, yes.
Sun, yeah.
And here in the States, it's Fox. That's their empire and Wall Street Journal.
So yes, it's based around this media mogul, elder gentleman, and empire, and with children vying for the opportunity to work into the business, but they're all. You have some empathy for them because he's not a particularly nice person, but they're all horrific people.
Although Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's younger brother, if you recognize that name, he is amazing. The way he delivers that dialogue so quick and so snappy, it's amazing.
The acting is just sensational, but the characters are horrific.
Except Greg.
They are grotesque. Apart from Greg, who is, he's the Brit, right? That is, he is the bumbling. He's me. He's brilliant and lovely.
He's me.
And
did you just call yourself
Did he write
lovely?
a book as well? Did he write a book? What was his book called?
He's charming. He's sexy. He's got lovely breath.
He's the best
just
actor
like
in the show.
His arms are the perfect length.
Oh my god!
All of the above. I can't argue with any of it. So, it's brutal. It's so funny and witty. It's gripping. It's engaging. You'll fall into it. It's lush.
Martyn,
what do you think? What's your top?
So I got a haircut the other day, and my barber said, what TV shows have you watched recently? Like any good ones? Like just throwaway conversation. And I went beet red because I just froze and went, no, I couldn't even think. So I have literally been thinking about this for like a good couple weeks and been like, shit, I have no idea. All I know is in lockdown, watching the Marvel TV shows was good fun and better than I thought they'd be. So if you watch the films, they are decent. And we hated the Tiger King sequel. That was shite. We just turned it off on episode 1 and was like, this is just shit. So don't even bother. I can't remember anything else, but the one that I can remember, I've probably quoted more than anything else, and it seeped in. And I should have said this to the barber, who gave me honestly a stunning haircut. Listeners, it's pretty bang. But it's on Netflix, and it's called I Think You Should Leave. And it is one of the most beautiful comedy shows ever. Yeah. I think it is stunning. It's so well put together. It is just the perfect amount of abstract. It's so like weird. It's like the best things about the internet And the best things about TV and kind of that, just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. It's just a TV show that I would put on for anyone. And I know that, like, again, Wilding Sam, he was saying that he watched the first episode and his partner was like, this is a you show. I think I'm not going to watch it. But every time I've been with him, we've been like, I didn't do shit. It's a sketch show by a guy who looks the most British guy you've ever seen, but he is American through and through. And it has the sensibility of a tortured world. It is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
It's Tim Robinson.
What's the bit with the steaks? They're like,
sloppy steaks.
Wet. Yeah, but then they say something like, soak it up or something. Oh, it's just.
And they say no more sloppy steaks, but we say, just bring steaks and water. They can't stop that. Oh yeah.
And the guy comes over, he's like, no more sloppy steaks.
It is. It feels like, if you're listening and you haven't seen it, this is what it's like being at a water cooler where you missed a day and you're like, the fuck is this? But the episodes are 16 minutes long. They're nothing. And
it's kind of like,
I nearly urinated when I first saw the first one. I was crying hard. It's the absurdism of Monty Python made new. And it isn't just like this kind of carbon copy of sense of humor. It's so perfectly now. And I absolutely adored it.
It's kind of like watching like a best of TikTok or something. You know, it's just it's like how this could all come from one person's mind. You're like, wow, that's quite a lot going on in there. And like you say, because it's so short, you just put it on and just like, before you know it, you're just sort of staring like, did that just happen? Did I just watch all of those things in 16 minutes? Right.
The weirdest thing as well is when it comes true. And I won't give anything away. I think it's in episode 1 of season 2. But there was a news article recently about this coffin where it exploded from the bottom and someone fell out at a funeral. And I mean, just watch. I think you should leave. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
There we go. He's giggling away. Scott, what was your favorite series of the year?
Yeah, that was tough to narrow down because I would say of all the media that I absorbed this year, TV was probably the most. I mean, some of the ones that rise to the top, Succession was definitely up there. Squid Game, I don't know if you guys saw that, but didn't like the ending though. Yeah, did not. I thought if it ended an episode before, it would have been a 9 or 10. But with the ending, 8 out of 10. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but same. As Martyn said, a lot of the Marvel stuff was pretty good. Ted Lasso, which is a huge thing here in the States. I don't know if anyone cares in the UK.
Scott, we all named one.
I'm just saying these were some, but the one that I narrowed down.
Grant, he polishes this turd. We'll let the Empress say what he wants.
I just throw in some that were good. But,
what was your top 14?
Previous guests, Scott. I won't mention any of my friends, but they all like Ted Lasso. So carry on.
It. All right, so I will narrow it down to. This is tough. I will say, just to put one out there that I really liked, and again was a comedy, was called The Other Two, and it's about it's a young kid who gets success as a singer. And he's got a sister and a brother. The brother is trying to be an actor and the sister doesn't know what she wants to do, eventually becomes a manager. But it's kind of like following the life of these two siblings as their friend goes up. And it's all comedy, super funny jokes, a lot happening throughout it. It's really, really funny. It's on HBO now. I think it used to be on Comedy Central. Highly recommend that one, though. That one is great. And nobody.
I thought I recognized the name there, and I've just looked it up, and no, it's probably.
So is it
not.
The sequel to The Other?
No, it is not the sequel.
That's just a word joke there for you listeners. Write it down. See you in a minute.
All right. Well, that wraps up our best TV show of the year. Now, moving quickly on to best movie. I'm going to kick off first here. A tough one. There are a few to choose from, but I've gone with The Sound of Metal.
Oh, yes, yes.
Which was a recommendation from Martyn.
Oh,
I think
thank
I'd
you,
heard something
Martyn.
about it. Riz Ahmed got he got an Oscar nomination for playing a guy who's a drummer in a band and his hearing goes, and it's a journey of his, the devastation, the exasperation, but the coming to terms with it. And it's majorly emotional, but uplifting at the same time, and an amazing and effective way of the sound, the effects have been done such that you can get into the head of somebody who is losing their hearing, and so it just struck so many notes. It was a really powerful movie and a really powerful piece of acting as well. So not one if you're in the jovial mood, but one to sort of if you need something that really sort of needs something to mean something. It's a stunning movie.
That's on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, in the UK.
So, yes.
Also, his band, One, sounds sick. Sounds really fucking sick in that film. But also, I mean, you've summed it up there in a beautiful way. There's a lot of effects on the audio because of the nature of the film. But you could stick those effects on something to get it across. And I've watched loads of films where they do like essentially the shit version of Saving Private Ryan with the flash grenade and all this and this and this. And it's trying to put you in their shoes. His performance, it just is so perfect that those effects on top of it just heighten it. And we were literally like in tears at the end. It's so good. And that was one that I would pick. I'm going for the other film in my list, but that was one that I picked. And I'm so glad you spoke about it, Gabe, because it just deserves everyone to watch it. It's deliciously perfect.
Definitely. And he was so committed to the drumming aspect as well. I think he committed to play every day for, was it 6 or 8 months to learn to be able to play in a form that it would be, good enough so that he could do it on film. I think he really gets into these kind of things. So impressive stuff.
That is, as a drummer, see when you watch, even in music videos, and you watch drumming and it's out of sync, it's the most annoying thing. Or you can tell that someone doesn't really know
you
how
are
to play.
the sync.
Yeah, totally. And it's just like, it really, really gets to me. And I watched that actually after, I'd been meaning to watch it, but I think it was after Martyn had spoken about it so spoken of it so highly.
Cider.
There you go.
Exactly. Tastemaker Cider Mole. And I was like, yeah, maybe part of it was like, I thought maybe there would be annoying bits like that I would pick out and be like, oh, well, he's not really playing, is he? And see, another thing is I've never seen like a film or a TV show that dramatizes being in a band that actually brings it to life in any way. And I know that that's not really what that was about. But the parts of it that were totally on point, and it's, I've watched a lot of various things over the years, and I guess some of them are not necessarily trying to do that, be authentic, but when they do, it's just hard to actually get it right. And it's partly because people don't want to see how boring it can be or how real it actually is, but yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. But
it made it look painful. I know obviously in the film, for anyone listening, it's the band is a couple as well, but watching that didn't make me want to tour in any way. Like touring couldn't have been like, it couldn't have been that bad that was realistic. Do you know? I'm asking you as in like, it would, is touring that relentlessly awful?
At that level, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you do, because you do everything.
Yeah.
You are, every crew member, and with success, you slowly, offload those jobs. But when you first go out and do it, that's what you've got to do. I mean, not many people would do it in a vehicle that they also live in at that stage.
Yeah.
But then essentially, weirdly, it comes back round full circle, because the bigger you get, then that is what you do. You live on a bus. So, and especially in the US, like the drives are woofed. There's something else. I had no idea when we first went over. It's going to be fucking great. You drive from city to city, but it'll take you 2 days between each one. And yeah, it's certainly not as glamorous as you'd think it was. But when you're in your early 20s and you're getting to do it, it's a shitload of fun. But yeah, I think that's maybe why I was saying, watching shows that either do glamorize it too much or just misfire slightly with it, and that, like I say, is probably because the reality of it wouldn't maybe be as interesting a watch as one that's slightly fantasized.
Well, cheer us up, Grant. What is your film of the year?
Oh, I didn't do my film. My film is happy. I have got a happy film for you.
There we go.
I had a few as well, obviously, but my picks got to be Luca, the Pixar movie.
I thought you were saying like Looker in Scottish.
No, mate.
No, mate.
My pick is Shugel.
Oh, that's a deep cut. Yeah, I mean, probably it's been highly affected by the little person that I sit and watch the TV with most of the time.
Jay.
But
She really that small?
Yeah, she's quite small. Loves Mr. Tumble. But yes, but I love Disney and Pixar anyway. And I think if the first time I watched Luca, I was a bit I was maybe slightly underwhelmed. But I've watched it over and over again, and I just think it was always the story and the message with Pixar is always something you can kind of keep going back to and see new sides of, and see new sentiment in there. And I just think the story is just beautiful. I just love this little story of friendship between this trio and the kind of, I guess, underlying message of acceptance, regardless of who you are or what you are, is great. And they always just manage to just absolutely hit it on the nose with the kind of the message and the comedy, and no music.
Really?
Well, no songs,
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. And also the animation's just incredible.
So come on then.
We having a fight?
Scott, what was your... come on in.
Come on, Scott. Top 9.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'll pare it down to the top 5. No, I chose one which was about music, actually, and I just love the way it pulled everything together, which is Summer of Soul,
Yes.
produced and directed
That was second
by
on mine, actually.
Questlove. And
Who's that?
Yeah, some guy.
I've got the tattoo on my back, but I have no idea who this guy is.
Quest where?
Quest who? Yeah, he's the drummer.
Are you
for
saying
the
Quest
Roots.
Lust?
He's a drummer for the Roots, and he's started to expand his empire. He's done a lot of books. He's done a lot of different things. This is the first movie he's ever
Very
directed.
famous podcast.
I cannot believe you didn't mention the podcast. Fucking hell. Look at the Gabe Cook every 20 seconds.
I think you guys ribbed me so much for the first 3 meetings that we did where I mentioned Questlove that I'm afraid to ever say his name again. But anyway, his movie.
So you picked his film for your best of 2021.
But it is. But,
Cool. Well, good job avoiding Questlove.
Well, but it is truly my favorite movie of the year. Like
it is brilliant. It is brilliant.
Yes, it's I think it's on Hulu is where I saw it, but it's set in Harlem in the late 60s, and there's this huge concert post Woodstock, I believe, maybe a few months after. And it was basically put on as the Black Woodstock, if you will, like the big super festival where even Stevie Wonder and a lot of huge artists came out and played, and it was free and people just piled in the streets. But what I loved so much about it was he gave a lot of context in the movie about what was going on socially and racially. And
Who's that?
Martyn, are you okay?
Is he? I wasn't.
It was a cat.
watching.
Nothing. He didn't do anything. We just heard like
was it a
pots clanging. Is it a cat?
I am absolutely tanked.
Oh, is that you?
No. I precariously balanced a. Well, you don't even need to know.
Okay.
No.
Let's
Anyway.
just, I'm not interested.
So Questlove did a really great job of bringing all the aspects of this festival together, which was understanding what was going on in Harlem and America at the time, racially, politically, socially, and giving you a really interesting understanding of this concert and why it was so important. And that a lot of people didn't know about it. I mean, they took this footage, it never really got out, and it sat in a closet for 50 years. And then I think he was approached, or maybe he approached them about doing something with it and put it together. And it looked like a phenomenal concert, man. I would have loved to have been there.
It is brilliant. It's on Disney Plus in the UK. So you should definitely, if you have any interest in music or festival kind of documentaries, it's brilliant. Just fun. It's just, and even though obviously, with the past sort of year or two, racial tensions being at a kind of pretty high level, and the Black Lives Matter, it's having something like this come out, and it being so positive and so celebratory, but also you're looking at it like, fucking hell, we haven't fucking barely moved on,
exactly.
But it's amazing, really incredible.
Yep.
Good choice. Alrighty. I've been distracted by such things that Martyn, did we ask yours?
No, you didn't. But do you know what? It's going to feel a lot like Deja Vu, which is a song on the album Sour. But basically...
Deja Vu all over again.
But basically, for me, I was trying to think of films that I'd watched that I'd loved that were released that year. And to be honest, I was going back to a lot of comfort films. And one that was new was Sound of Metal. But again, Deja Vu, the actual film that made the most impact was Bo Burnham's Inside, where Scott had told me, dude, you've got to watch this. Have you seen it? And I said, no. I put it on, and that night I had to put my cat to sleep, and I put on this comedy, and I was like, I am not feeling in the mood right now. So I turned it off, and a week later I was like, I'll give that a go. And I felt like I'd been struck by a bag of hammers when I watched it. It got to the end and I was like, holy shit. Because being someone who was furloughed at the time in the pandemic, it felt like, I know it's all this, for anyone who hasn't got the context, he created a special in his own room and all this, but it's more that it just tapped into a feeling of just anxiety that I'd felt constantly and made it musical and funny, which was harrowing. And by the end, you're like, fuck, I just fell in love with it. Absolutely. And if anyone hasn't watched it, just go watch it. That's all I can say.
Amazing.
I haven't watched it, and
Neither have I.
I'm going to watch it now.
Flawless.
Not now, but
Right now.
You're watching Superstore.
You're watching a lot of things right now. You're going to be
so
up
I
until
am.
the wee hours. All right, that's our wrap up of 2021 movies. Now we're going to move on to cultural moment of the year. Quite a biggie here, Martyn. You're definitely the most equipped person here to start
The
off.
most cultured.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so fast when he said.
Fucking hell. Oh, little bitchy guy.
Yeah.
No, for me, it was, I got to say, it might have been 2020, but I went to Downing Street and I was at a party last New Year's Eve, and it was wonderful. It was so good. No, my cultural moment. I'm not a sports guy. I haven't watched the local sports game, but I love boxing. And Fury Wilder 3 as a fight. I stayed up till 5 a.m. for it to start here in the UK. And Hannah doesn't watch boxing, so I was watching it on my little iPad. I didn't even have a drink. I had water that I was putting on my face to stay awake. And the fight started. I'm not even kidding. I got to bed at about 8, but my heart was pounding because it was like watching a Rocky film. It's the most dramatic fight I've ever seen. And it's a fight that quite bluntly was registered as like, oh, do we really need to see this? It was a draw at first, but convincingly to Tyson. And then the second round, the one he whooped his ass. The third fight was one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen. And that's including the classics that I've gone back and watched. But I just was like, it got to the 5th round and I was like, I am watching something here. It's happening. And I just felt like my heart was crumpled, exploded. It was insane. It was so good. And genuinely, I think one of the highlights of the year of being like, the next day, everyone was like, oh, do you watch it? And I was like, yeah, I did. It's so good to have a moment like that in a year of shit, to have something so fucking mad.
Can I ask about boxing and what attracts you to it? As someone who I think of as quite a gentle soul.
You think I'm a gentle? That's so nice.
I don't think you're violent. I don't think you're aggressive. Like,
we haven't seen him after 5 years. He is feral.
You've never seen me work.
Yeah, feral's different.
Yeah, feral's different. I'm not saying you're not feral, man. I'm just saying you're a wee old guy.
No, but like, you don't strike me as a fighter in a physical way. Like,
okay.
And what is that? A fucking insult? Why so touchy about boxing? I'm just asking you why you like watching people beat the shit out of each other. And I'm trying to give you compliments by saying I don't imagine that you're one of those people.
But I think it's one of those sports where it isn't as violent as it seems on the front. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of... No,
I understand that there's technique and I totally get that. Like, I'm not saying, is it a sport? I'm just, no. It's just, what is it that draws you to it?
I think it's a sport that I can read, that I don't know how it came, but I watched it as a little kid. Like, it's like growing up, I grew up in Cornwall, born in Coventry. Coventry and Cornwall aren't very good at football, and every football match within a family house of that is miserable because you always lose. But with boxing, it's this big spectacle, but it's more so that like the kind of feints and the movement of it, I kind of could read. Whereas in football, I just don't. I get the scale of the pitch and that, but I don't read it. Like, my brother is like absolutely fucking adores it, but I watch the same match as him, and I'm like, this is pretty lame. Like, it's just lame. I don't like it. And I think genuinely as well, there's something about that kind of larger than life character that boxers aren't good, smart people. Like, there's a lot of people that I think cancel culture should come for in boxing because they get paid to get punched in the head for a living. So they're not those kind of guys, but how they play that sport, and I say sport is actually just fighting. You can't play boxing, but I love it and I can read it. And when it's skilled, I think there's no better spectacle than two fighters that are evenly matched.
What about, and I don't really know much about boxing or this, but was it Tyson Fury's brother who was meant to fight that YouTube guy? What's your take on that? Is that just YouTube?
Yeah, the problem is that's the game working really well because it's a promotion game. Unlike other sports, boxing hasn't got a kind of regimented system. So there's belts within it, but there are now like 5 governing bodies. So there's like, it's a rigged sport by design, and it's designed to be middlemen making money within it. But there's no league as such. And when they've tried to set up a league, it works, but the guys that need to make the money don't. And these kids that have come into it from YouTube have just gone, oh, there's a gap in the market for me here. And fair play to them. They've injected themselves into it, but they've done it at the detriment of the authenticity of the whole sport because like that fight I wouldn't have watched. But if that gets people into it, and if that gets people that are like, that love those YouTubers into the sport, that's a great thing. So it's like a blessing and a curse that it's being spoke about. But when there are fighters, literally...
Kind of like cider as well.
Yeah. Well, exactly. If that gets wine drinkers into it, great. But I think...
Hang on. I've been confused here. We're trying to get wine drinkers to get into boxing?
Yeah.
No, we're trying
to knock them out of cider. No, but genuinely, if you've got someone who's like, oh, I drink wine, I don't really care, and then they come into cider through that and they find something they like, that's wonderful. But if you watch someone like, say, I mean, Canelo's the pound for pound, who is a Mexican man who looks shockingly just like me. But he is
Canelo.
He's can name such because it's cinnamon. So he's ginger, pale as fuck, and he is an astounding fighter. But if you're coming into it from the outside and you're like, oh, this is boring, he is like the most technically perfect boxer there is. So if you're going to like your YouTuber and they're not that good, I'm glad that you like it. And I'm not going to stop you from liking something that you like. But I think that the sport, like every sport and like everything after COVID, it kind of needs every boost it can get right now because a lot of those guys are self-employed and they've really suffered in lockdowns, like big time. So any eyes on the sport can get, let's have them.
Very good account, Martyn, and very good insight into the world of boxing and wine drinkers. Grant, what was your cultural highlight of the year?
My cultural highlight of this year was maybe something I spoke about last year as well, but the Strictly Come Dancing final.
Oh, he loves it.
Oh,
he
man.
Loves it.
I mean, I thought we needed it last year. This year was just so joyous and just so happy. And just like, I just think dancing is just so fun. And I'm really quite self-conscious about it. I'm not like first on the dance floor. Rose and Giovanni won the glitter ball this year, and it was just she's deaf, so she's the first deaf celebrity on the UK show. Also in the final was the first same-sex couple, so 2 guys were dancing together. There was meant to be a third dancer, AJ. She had to pull out, unfortunately. But it's just everything about it. It just was like, it just total escapism on a Saturday night. Well, we wouldn't always watch it a Saturday night, but when we watched it, it just takes you away somewhere that's completely unreal and alien to me. But that I'm totally there for. Like, and just watching them do it. And honestly, every time Rose, because I hadn't really ever thought about what a deaf person goes through in their day-to-day lives, and that was something that every week you would watch and be like, holy shit, she's deaf and she's like dancing like that and expressing herself like that and can't hear the music. Like, this is just blowing my mind. And I cried every time I saw her dance. And then at the final was just like, I don't know, was just like same as last year, same as I said about it last year. It just was such a happy thing, and a positive thing to switch on and switch off. I guess, you know, you could just kind of whatever else was going on wasn't really important. It was like cool for an hour and a half tonight. I'm going to watch people dance who might have never danced before, and they're going to finish with a smile on their face, and so am I. And it was just amazing. And yeah, cry count on Saturday night was probably in double digits, to be honest. And it just, I just loved it. I just loved it. And there was no, do you know what else was really nice about this year? There were no scandals about someone cheating on their girlfriend or partner.
Yeah, for people listening in from the States, I don't watch Strictly, but I know every scandal, every season, someone has cheated on their partner, and it is just like, Jesus, it's
probably happened in the US
the Strictly
as well,
curse, isn't it? Oh,
it
really?
is, yeah. And there was none of that this year. Like that didn't happen.
What's the point? Isn't that like the only reason why you had a bit of fodder for the tabloids?
Grinch cook. Nah, it was just joy this season. It really was. And Dan Walker was in it too long. He should have bounced a couple of weeks before he did. But that's okay. He was improving week on week, so that's why people liked him. And I think he was getting the Christian vote as well. But it was just brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And the right winner won.
Can I ask you a serious question about, I guess, inclusivity? Because Hannah and I, we watched Drag Race religiously, and there was a woman in the running this year in the UK one, and RuPaul was like, "You're really breaking boundaries coming here," and like, oh my God, it's the first deaf person, and they make a big show of it, but really, the boundary they're breaking is set by the show itself, isn't it? They could have had someone on earlier, but they use it as a promo tactic of like, oh no, we've got the first one now. And you're like, yeah, but you were the gatekeeper. Like, I don't understand why you want me to praise you now.
But then I think the gatekeeping, certainly with Strictly, kind of happens before that anyway, because they have to find a celebrity. So,
well, more so with the Strictly lot, it's the same sex issue, and like with Drag Race, it's like the women, because drag is seen as like, oh, it's men dressing up as girls, so it's like a lot of views are like, oh, you can't do that if you're a woman because you are a woman, and it's like, well, no, but okay. But yeah,
no, totally. I mean, they should have had. There's no doubt they should have had same sex couples way before last year, but they didn't, and I imagine now it will be, you know, I would hope that it wouldn't just be one every year. I would also hope that it wouldn't necessarily be, you know, the Johannes, the gay dancer who dances with a man every time, you know, like I don't think that's necessarily has to be the case, because I think last year Nicola Adams, who's the boxer, was in a same-sex couple as well. But yeah, that's it. You know, it's maybe cynical to say that they were kind of using that, but there had been a deaf winner on the US show actually a few years ago, a model. So yeah, we were even behind the US when it came to inclusivity, which is slightly embarrassing.
Gabe, what was your cultural moment of positivity? I'm sorry, Grant. I really dragged you through it there. Dragged you through it.
Well, there was no asking of it necessarily being positive. It was just culturally significant, and so I wanted to choose something that was.
You better not say your book. You fucking don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Well, you know, I generally do think that modern British. No, I'm joking.
Oh my God.
Not even.
Oh, that was well. That was really well acted. That was really well acted.
Thank you.
Mate, I'm really sorry to interrupt you there, but I genuinely thought he's not going to do this, is he? Sorry, I mischaracterized you there.
Go.
I wanted to choose something that was emblematic of just the absurdity of COVID-19, because it's horrific and terrible. But there is absurdity in there. Just a couple that didn't make the cut. Did you hear the Italian guy who took a fake arm to get his jab because he really wanted to have like the pass, but was very anti-vax? That was quite funny. Rather ironically, recently Roger Wilkins, he of cider making fame, who got busted for having a bit of a cider party at the end of last year when he shouldn't have done. He was in the news very recently, lambasting Boris Johnson for his party. So that was good to see Roger sticking one back.
Stones in glass houses there, Roger. Yeah. Even if you did invent the cure.
Yeah, I know you didn't roll out that booster cure, did you?
The winner definitely goes to Nicki Minaj, who is, she's not into vaccinations. I don't know whether you heard this. She tweeted a few months ago. Well, here we go. I can read it out to you. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and he became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. I mean, and obviously a lot of people, she's got how many million followers on Twitter? She is a cultural icon. There are lots of people who will take verbatim what she says. So when the world starts getting, advice on how to manage this pandemic from Nicki Minaj rather than necessarily from licensed medical professionals like me, obviously, then Dr. Gabe is wonderfully demonstrative of the bonkersness of where we are. So
yeah, the memes.
That's my moment.
The memes that came out. This is a problem. The cycle moves so fast that when you get to the end of the year and it's like the meme calendar of what was big, and you're like, Jesus, that feels like many moons ago. And the big balls meme was just phenomenal. And it's something that I just have forgotten about. And genuinely reading back on like cultural moments of the year, and it is like, do you remember sobering tone, but our Prime Minister said, let them die in their thousands. And that came out this year. And I have that was forgotten about until today. It's just fucking mad.
Another one that I was going to mention, but again, which tried to keep it positive until I dragged everyone down with my Strictly story, was the storming of the Capitol in the US.
Well, quite exactly.
That was like right at the start of the year. I remember it's definitely one of those moments that, because of what we'd gone through the whole year, I don't know, it didn't feel normal, but it felt like, slightly less absurd than it was. But it's definitely one of those things that you'll remember where you were. And what you were doing. Obviously, Scott, you will probably more than any of the three of us, but that is...
No,
I watched the documentary thing that was on... Yeah, totally. I was sunbathing at that time. I watched the documentary on BBC, and it's mind-blowing that
if
happened
anything has said the audacity of a group of people, because and this is, it becomes race issue and everything like that, but if a terrorist cell had done that, you would say this isn't real, it's too absurd a plot for a film, like this is madness. Right. But because it's essentially a couple hundred working class knobheads that are white, it just is like, maybe they're allowed in. You're like, what the fucking hell?
I mean, they would have opened fire. They would have opened fire if those people had different color skin. Like, it's on watching the documentary, and you sort of at times you're kind of like, you sort of feel for the security and police at the front, and then you're like, actually, nah, because you would have just tased all these, sorry. You would just tased all these people. I can't say. I'm not going to say.
But they were though. They were.
But they were.
That's
but yeah, they would have. They would have tased everyone. You know, if it was like a Black Lives Matter protest, or if these people had a different color of skin, and watching that documentary was just like they just walked in. Oh, it's mental. Anyway, Scott.
Yeah, to your point, I think there's a lot of that was actually going to be the thing I had originally when we first talked about this, but then you said let's keep it positive, and I was like, oh, that's just too depressing.
Yes,
Grant's positive one.
Sorry,
what's your negative one, Grant? You fucking miserablest.
Yeah, if you can watch any of the documentaries that have come out about that day, it's pretty stunning. I mean, I think one of the things that you said, Grant. If their skin color was different, it would have been different. And I don't disagree with you. Part of the problem was, though, the complications of having Capitol Police and who controls it. And the fact that, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but recently in there's a Senate Oversight Committee that's going over this Jan 6 insurrection. And they released a lot of the text messages that were coming in that day, and messages from all the leading Fox hosts, as well as Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., were saying, please get him to come out publicly and tell them to go home, like begging the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to tell Trump. Like Don Jr. apparently doesn't even have his dad's phone number. That's how great that family is. He can't text his own dad.
Damn.
He has to get to the, but yeah, it's total insanity. But to move it to a slightly more positive, the moment I chose was during the Olympics. We have an Olympian who's a gymnast who's probably one of the best in the world, Simone Biles. And probably shocking to anyone who's ever competed in anything, sports or otherwise, but understanding what the Olympic athletes do, spend 4 years and maybe as gymnasts, they start when they're young, 6, 7 years old on to become an Olympian and to win a gold. And Simone Biles, before one of her big routines, stepped out and just said, I'm not in a good mental place and I need to check my mental health. And I think the world just couldn't believe that someone would do that. We always just think people push through, and she didn't. And I think the good thing about that was it really opened up a conversation about mental health around the world in a way that it hadn't been as addressed and focused on before and acceptable. And I think it has become so because of that moment. I think that was a huge moment in the world.
Yeah. And what was horrible was the initial backlash was like, well, you're doing this thing and you're privileged, so you can't have that as an excuse. And then immediately it was quite that day or the next day, it was a discussion of like, well, mental health is a struggle for everyone. It doesn't care about wages. And it wasn't like we're going to let this sit for a while. So I remember reading it just like, oh my God. But then later that day, it was straight up back with a retort of like, it doesn't care how rich you are. So shut up.
And also like that sport is dangerous. Like she was saying like, I could be like 5-6 feet in the air, lose my sense of positioning, and I land on my head, I break my neck. It's not like, I don't, and not to belittle runners, but it's like, I can't run 100 meters. Like, you probably could, and you wouldn't seriously injure yourself. But that gymnast is I'm not again saying that they fuck off.
Go on, Hussein. I know what you mean, but like
it's dangerous though. It's like that was the point. That was a point that she made. That was a point
Absolutely.
That she made. It was like, look, I
fall on my head.
I could fall on my head. I could, seriously injure myself physically, and that's why if I'm not in a good place mentally, I shouldn't perform.
I think also as well. I do agree with that, but I also counter it with, even if it isn't an applicable thing, like I do a bit of bookkeeping now. If I were to have like a serious down day, I wouldn't be able to complete the tasks, say, because of mental health. I think that is a justifiable reason
course.
To discuss it as well. Yeah,
totally. I didn't mean that that you shouldn't pull out of a race. I just meant the kind of the severity of her not being able to physically compete is dangerous. You know, potentially life changing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, yes, absolutely. Anyone who suffers with their mental health should be able to make their own call on their own life. But yeah, that was the kind of, the reason I brought that up is because I didn't even appreciate that myself. You know, I was like, oh yeah, shit, of course. Like, you know, you don't think about how you spin like 3 times in the air and then they'll land on your feet, you know, because they make it look so fucking easy all the time.
I saw a video linking to this. I saw a video of the Olympics when it was first recorded and the sports that were recorded compared to now. And the gymnastic routines were literally essentially like a glamorous pull-up. And you watch it now and you have to be like, you have to have wings to get a bronze. Yeah. It's just the level that we push ourselves collectively. Like I wouldn't want to risk it on a day where I wasn't feeling it at all. Like, fuck that noise. And like you say, if you go, here's my call, I'm making it. Just the fact that people had the audacity to be like, well, you represent something bigger than you. And it's like, well, I'm also me. And I'm telling you right now, I ain't doing it. Yeah. So yeah, fair play to her.
How old is she? Is she like in her mid-20s now? Or, I mean, she has achieved so much from such a young age under such an intense spotlight at the absolute apogee of a game. And just the intensity of that period of time is just unfathomable. And yeah, to have the strength to make that decision, bravo, Scott. It's a great shout. It's just incredibly impressive. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about Jamiroquai being at the Capitol rise? Is that one that we're going to discuss at all?
Is that a real thing?
No, you know the guy with the horns who looked just like Jamiroquai. And he complained in prison. He complained in prison about the food not being organic.
Shit, yeah.
Anyone that says snowflake and then complains like that, I eat morsels like that.
Well, he was the one that he was smoking a joint, right? He smoked a joint inside the building.
Again, as race issues go, like you arrested for it, but not if you dress like Jamiroquai.
I know it.
Jamiroquai. Well, there we go. A breadth of different moments that sum up, I think, the wondrousness, bonkersness, and challenge that was 2021. And so last but very much not least, we are going to be reviewing our top 3 ciders of the year. Man, that's probably the trickiest thing to choose out of all of the different topics that producer Scott gave us. Where do we start? Grant, come on, give us your lowdown. Give us your top 3.
Okay. First, these are in no order. I didn't do an order. Have you done an order?
I haven't done an order.
Okay, cool.
I have.
Martyn will have done. Of course he will. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I can't see him right now.
He can
so
be
that's
special.
Fine.
Yeah.
So my first cider of the year is Wild Disco by Nightingale.
Yeah, bravo.
Just
delicious.
Unbelievable for one of those grab from the fridge ciders in a can. I mean, it's nothing touches it, in my opinion. That's available here anyway. You know, like Martyn might disagree with a Newtown Pippin in there, but
you'd put it in your top 3.
What?
The Wild Disco.
Wild Disco.
For a fridge site, that's banging.
What? It shouldn't be in my top 3?
No, I'm just saying, like, for something that's that go-to grab to be like better than any fancy bottles, really, is fantastic.
Definitely. Like, well, because I just think it's important to have a cider like that. You know, and we've had it on keg in the shop as well. And it's just, you know, even more satisfying out of a keg. It's just, but again, it's one of those things. If you put it in a 750ml bottle, it's got that elegance. It's got that amount of depth. It's got that complexity. The aromatics are unbelievable, which is what you expect from Discovery. It's becoming like a real favourite apple variety of mine. The profile that it gives on the palate is just it's almost exactly what I want. And I just think that Wild Disco is just a great example of that fruit. And it's one of those ciders that I think will bring people in.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just a winner every time.
Yeah, to bring people into cider, and then start them off on their journey of exploring a little bit more, and then even just looking at what else Nightingale have to offer, but then beyond that as well, it's just I think it's the perfect sort of gateway cider, but also one that I think four of us can appreciate as well. You won't have had it, Scott, unfortunately, but we'll sort that out at some point.
I'll dream. Can I point out, have you come around on kegs, Grant? Keg cider.
Your face, Scott, when he said kegs, you were like, I'm about to remind you of a whole time when you hated them. I've always been a fan of kegs, but Grant, what are you saying?
Well, I've not had an issue. I don't have a problem with kegs as such. I have a problem with people saying that kegs are the future of cider. That's the thing, Like
he is the Messiah.
Keg, yeah, he's a very naughty boy. Having cider, good cider out of a keg is brilliant. But what I didn't agree with and don't agree with is the fact that is the future, and that's where all cider makers should put their focus, which was the kind of discussion for a while. So no, I mean, absolutely, cider out of kegs is brilliant, but it's not necessarily the way forward for everyone to go.
I mean, without wishing to disagree with you, I disagree with you, and. He wrote a bloody book on it. The big bottle has such an important role to play in terms of advancing cider's cause to get it better known, appreciated, value perceived. In terms of actual volume increase, it's going to be a pack format that people know and understand and is amenable to a kind of everyday price and an everyday experience. So for the right producer, and for cider as a smaller part of a category, it's what's going to get it seen in front of more people than big bottles, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but we're not at that point yet in getting access to those lines in bars. That's the fact, and
part of the issue is because the product hasn't existed before that has that magic combination of being looking better, tasting better, but the price point not being so substantially greater that it's ridiculous and could be used as a substitute. And this is where the Nightingales are perfect examples of those liquids exist now.
I'm going to throw my hat into the conversation as well, though, and say, I think you're wrong, Gabe. And I think that working in a bar, the things that people get excited about in those kind of pubs where that would work is turnover and constant change and the new. And I think the ciders that are on in those bars are the house cider, and people view it the same as the house lager. And that's not what's exciting about craft beer. And I think you wouldn't say the same thing about wine of like, keg is going to be the future. Yes, it's going to be a part of the future, but I think genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised if 440ml was going to be a bigger impact on how we drink cider in the next 5 years than, say, a pint in a pub.
Definitely. That's what I think. And that was kind of, again, a part of the yes, he's dropped his motherfucking mic. Sorry, I didn't want a long pause after that, but I should have just left you. But yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's, doing restock and also able has given me a really good insight into where we are in cider, and really at the moment off sales are the focus to really pull people in, because there's lower risk involved in going in and buying a wee selection of cans from an off license as there is to going into a pub. And like you say, 750ml bottle, not going to be a big mainstream seller at this point. But I do agree that keg eventually will be a big player in it, but it's at the moment it's just a bit early. I think that's my opinion.
All right then, Grant. Next up, your second side.
Are we doing all of mine? Okay.
Yeah, let's go on. Let's do it. Let's smash through all three at a time.
Okay. Number 2. Well, my second cider is On the Beach from Little Pomona. Just for I kind of tried to pick 3 quite different styles of cider, and this in the 750ml format, I think was just the best example of something that your kind of seasoned cider drinker would be able to love and appreciate, but again also if you haven't really ventured into that world too much, then I think there was enough fruit and juice. Well, there's more. I don't know where it came from. I had White Beach, so it's made. I'll talk a little bit about the process of it. So it's White Beach is the apple variety, which is not one that I had heard of.
It's a pretty rare one
previously, and the Little Pomona had got 600 kilograms of White Beach from an orchardist that they know. Pressed it with some major, some browns, put it into 4 barrels, mixture of ex-cognac, white burgundy and Chianti to finish off the fermentation. And it's a still...
God, they're posh knobheads, aren't they?
Oh, they're so posh. it's a still dry cider, so... but the level of fruit that remains in it is just... I don't know where it comes from. I'm assuming it's a huge characteristic of White Beach because it's not something I've experienced before. That level of like peachiness and honey and just sort of spring. It just smells like spring and tastes like spring, and it's I think it's one for a kind of. Their orange cider was almost made.
I was going to say you picked this above the orange, which is interesting.
Well, the reason I did was because I think that more people will enjoy this over the orange cider, and I think that is a reason that it just pipped it for me. Like, it's a more accessible version of the orange cider.
Well, that's James talking about the fruit as well, because it's a variety that, Gabe said it. It's a rare one that people don't talk about or press often, and it's definitely one that's not in the same realm as us of Dabnit, and I think there's one named after foxes or something. But with that fruit and what he was saying about it, he was like, it's just fucking magical. Yeah. And I don't know why we can't get more of it. And he talks the same about Kingston Black, but I've tried a few Kingston Blacks. I hadn't tried many White Beaches at all. And then you try that and there's kernels of those characters in their other ciders, but that is so singular and out there in that realm that you're like, wow, this is just millions of peaches for me. Like, wow.
It totally is. They should have called it On the Peach.
No, I as a Neil Young fan, I was so happy to see 2 Neil Young references in their repertoire this year. I was like, thank you, James.
and also, I've got to say, I thought the label was beautiful as well. And yeah, I just...
Excellently selected from the 5 that were given. Yeah, really well done.
Good work. I think that On the Beach is the best cider that Little Pomona have ever made, in my opinion. I just thought it was in the long list for me. I thought it was awesome. Such great fun, but really bold and mature, but easygoing. Yeah. For it to be a table cider as well, that still drink, but with such vivaciousness. Yeah, that's it was a special thing, a real joy.
Yeah, definitely.
Top choices, Martyn. What have you got?
Well, there's no
one more. Oh, sorry. There's we're going into so much wonderful detail. Grant, tell us.
My last pick is Puck by Eden, which was a follow-up to Queen Mab, which Adam Wells had I first heard about Queen Mab through was it still on Malt at that time? I can't remember, but
let's plug Cider Review. So fuck Malt.
Yeah, okay.
The guy who writes Cider Review said what about Queen Mab?
About Queen Mab, it was one of the best cider drinks he'd ever had. So I instantly went and purchased a bottle of that. Puck is the follow-up to it. So it's an ice cider made by Eden in Vermont. Where it differs from most other ice ciders is the 8 years of barrel aging that they do. And to be honest, I couldn't, between Puck and Queen Mab, I don't even know what, they're both just ridiculous, but Puck was just, I hadn't tasted anything like it in my life. And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 8 years in a barrel.
Talk about cash flow management. That sets it back a bit, doesn't it?
Well, I think they're now. I was Queen Mab the first one, I think maybe. So they now have a yearly release of it. But yeah,
was Puck Ashmead's Kernel? From memory, I think that was Queen Mab. Heavy,
100% Ashmead's Kernel. I think I don't know why they're changing the name of it, or whether they're going to keep doing that every year. Whether it's from whether the fruit is from a different orchard, I'm not sure, to be honest. But it's essentially the same. So cold concentrated outside in Vermont. Press the juice and then have it freeze over time, so the juice and the water separate, which gives you the purest of concentrates. And then 8 years in barrel.
Well, just describe to us. I guess for a lot of people listening, it's not even a case of I've just mentioned Ashmead's Kernel then, but and all that. When you had a sip of that, what was Grant thinking? And there we go. That is lovely. So
he was a horse. Is that what he was thinking?
I am the cider horse.
I was phoning up the cider horse, asking for an explanation as to how you make something so fucking exquisite from an apple. We've had a few different ice ciders in the shop. We got Puck in as well. I only brought in a very small amount, so we couldn't pour it for anyone. But we recently poured some Ember from Branland, which is a spiced ice cider, and everyone who tasted it bought a bottle. Because it'd be, I think that's what I've found with ice cider. When people try it, they're like, "All right, I need to buy this. I need to buy lots of it." It
is our double IPA. It is the one that you're like, oh yeah, straight up. Yeah, I'm getting
definitely. So yeah, Puck by Eden.
What
nice
a trio.
Good range of different styles, packaging, formats, occasions. Nice work, Grant. It's almost like selling cider is your job, in fact, presenting the range. Bravo. Martyn, tell us of the many, many ciders that you have tasted this year. What makes the cut? What's your top three, my friend?
Well, embarrassingly, the top three is all Little Pomona. No, the number three.
Now, you have done yours in an order, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually thought about it, unlike Grant, who just cavalierly just joined in. But number three, and why I brought up the question, Nightingale, cider, yes. And it was the Falstaff Bramley. Like that. You got to remember, guys, I looked at my Instagram and I was like, there's some missing. And then I looked back at the list of Neutral Cider Hotel episodes and what we drank. And the Falstaff Bramley, I drank in 13 seconds. That can.
That's right.
I've had 20 of them since. And they have all gone down horrifically quickly. And Hannah's like, stop. I'm like, no.
I will not.
You can't slow this train. No, but I jokingly set myself up with Grant because I would put that as a cider experience, nearly above everything else other than the next two. But it genuinely, every time I've cracked a can of that, I felt, fuck, this is so crushable. And that is something that I think a lot of the 750s don't have, where they've got these beautiful techniques that present the apple in a certain way. And yes, here we are as seasoned pricks, but we enjoy those kind of drinks. But for my family members and people past that, I've given ciders to, and they've gone, no, this is vinegar. And you're like, no, it's not. It's high acid and all this and this and this. But everyone I've given a can of that to or a sip of, and they've gone, fuck, this is like alcohol-free wine. Like it can't be that low ABV. And you're like, yes, it can. It's made with apples, and it's made from an absolutely lovely guy called Sam in Kent.
Well, and Bramley apples as well, you know? Like that's
not necessarily always the most heralded of apple varieties. He wields them with great care and attention and skill to create very, very enjoyable drinks.
Yeah, to have those. So I've been down to see him and try some of the barrels that he's got there, and to know what he's got in his palette to color with, and to know what he can pull out of that. And yes, he was open on our podcast about it, of like the use of water and stuff like that. But I would happily drink a case of that before I drink something that's 100% pure apple and I guess divisive and a bit of VA. And I have done that. I've drank that cider because it's just delicious. Like the Wild Disco is great, but the Falstaff Bramley is like, it's like crazy lemonade. And I'm like, yes, if someone spiked my Nelson Sauvin fucking beer and made a shandy radler with it, with lemonade, yes, that I would be drinking that all day, every day. And it feels great, tastes great. The label is inspired by us, so there's a bit of nepotism, but hell, it looks the fucking part. It tastes the part.
absolutely.
So, number 2, and this is one from, I've not had the release of it yet.
Oh,
But I tried it. What do you guys think this is? The way you said that. No.
I haven't actually tried it yet, but
No.
I think it's
I
going to
licked
taste
the
like.
barrel that it was in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a blend I've done. This is In Touch 3. No, it is Fine and Foster, Matt and Polly's Perry. And when I tried this at the cider salon, I just looked at them both and I felt giddy with joy for them that they'd made this, but envious that their first go at something was so perfect.
Yeah, I felt rage. I felt utter rage.
Literally,
Bastards.
like, guys, I love you. I think they're two wonderful people. I genuinely do. But the fact that they do so well at everything, it genuinely is green with envy kind of moment. But they knock it out of the park. And the fact that Perry, I've got a bottle now of it, but I'm not drinking it tonight. It's getting saved. But that Perry at the cider salon was a joy. And again, the same with, and I will put him in this category as well, the Gould Cider Company, his Perry as well, but I cannot remember the name of it because he's had numerous ones since, and I've bought a few of them. But the ones they've brought were two fucking delicious drinks. But the Fine and Foster one was so clean and to a faultless. It was like, how have you made this magical liquid? Like if you were to read a novel with Cornish pixies and they were to write what they were drinking, it would be this drink. It was just a joke of how clean and magical it was. And genuinely, two nicer people couldn't have made a nicer drink. So that was my number 2.
Well said. Well said.
And number 1, unlike Grant, I didn't want to put a commercial cider in here and all this and this like he did with Kentish Pip. Kentish Pip, that's not the cider, is it? That joke didn't land. What are they called? Nightingale. And I didn't want to put in a Nightingale
just tell
cider.
us your number 1.
Yeah, I fucked it up. Right. Fucked it up. Well, the whole setup of it is I didn't want to say what it was, but clearly it's got to be Original Sin Newtown Pippin, because it was a fucking delicious drink. And genuinely, when we were recording the show, and like I say, I went back and looked at all the show notes and saw what we were drinking. That cider on that episode, I was fucking head over heels with it. And it may be because you're in the moment with him and he is the nicest guy in cider. You can challenge that, but you're wrong. You're an idiot and you deserve to die. Guidon is one of those guys who is just fucking lovely. And that drink is so good at what it is. It's like the perfect pop record. I would drink that at my grave, I think. It's one of those ciders. And to tell you how good I thought that was, Gold Rush number 9 was going to be in this list, and I knocked it out to have these three. And that's the list. It is a magical drink, and I'm glad that the American listeners can just grab a can. I'm glad that they can grab a can, and the UK listeners can't, and they're just going to have to get hype envy because we had the good shit. So thanks, Original Sin, for sending those over. Those were fucking terrific, but that one was just a fucking magic show. Thank you.
And I will say, I had the Macintosh, which Grant had, and the Newtown Pippin, and they're equally as good. I know you guys didn't have, you had one or the other. I had both, and I loved them both.
I had the Northern Spy, which was exceptionally good as well. They're all
absolutely
all fantastic.
It's just, it's so great to get ciders made from varieties that we don't have access to, and single variety as well, so you can really get the expression of the fruit, and be able to know what it is that Guidon's doing, and it's creating that cider. It's just, it was super exciting. Hopefully we might see it over here at some point.
Ooh.
So another fine selection there, and I too had that Fine and Foster Perry in the long list as well. A truly magical drink. So my top 3 isn't in a particular order. I've taken Grant's diplomatic route. Cider number 1 is the Crackington Cider Company and their vintage cider. This is a cider maker that I discovered through researching modern British cider, and it's a small Cornish maker making just a few thousand litres, perched fairly precipitously on the upper sort of gorge valley in this amazing bit of North Cornish coastline. And
Kernobisfecken.
Bless you. And presented in a kind of Bordeaux type bottle, with a full cork, a still product, and it's, as in my opinion, if you're interested in orange wines or those really kind of intensely flavored, it's that, but made with British apples. It's 8.2%. It's got a lengthy barrel maturation time. It's intense, and it's not overly sort of smoky or barrel influenced. It's just had that lovely sort of length of maturation, and so the tannic component is really soft, but it's kind of grippy at the same time. There is acidity, but it's balanced. It's bone dry, amazing with food. It's just a joyous thing to come across something that I'd never come across before, and I just thought was magic. I liked it so much that I even took it on the TV as a little one of the sort of Cornish feature I did on Sunday Brunch back the end of the summer. Just magic, and great fun again to have something from a wee little maker. Cider number 2 also is from a small producer. Again, a bit of research from the book. A cider maker that I'd come across before called Kniveton, and they're in Derbyshire. This is their cider called Scotchio, and it's in a 500ml bottle, crown cap, still. But if you were to be poured it and to taste it, it would be having Albee Hill. It has got all of that aromatic intensity, that amazing structure, light minerality. in my personal opinion, the package type doesn't do justice to the occasion and the sort of value perception that I think that drink should be exuding. It was just an insane drink. And don't just take my word for it. At the very recent International Cider Awards that yours truly was the chair of judges.
So we'll take your word for it again.
Please do. I didn't actually taste them. I just told the judges what to do and just sort of swan around a bit. It got second place in the sort of the modern cider category, the more acid driven category. Just insane good.
Where are they based?
They are in the village of Kniveton, which is in the sort of Derbyshire Dales.
They've got their own pub, right?
That's right. There's the Red Lion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think they've been at Manchester Cider Club online before. I know Dick and Kath are big fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not trying to Scorchio, though.
The way you've summed it up just seems at odds with 500ml Scorchio.
Quite. It's crazy small batch. So forgive me for choosing something that isn't so easily accessible. But
was it in your top 3 best ciders of the year?
Yes.
Then no need to apologise.
Well,
fair play. Yeah. Fucking.
No, I mean, but Puck is completely unavailable.
So available from Two Belly in Bristol now.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go get a bottle now you've brigged it up, but I want fucking Flavour Town over here from Gabe.
Scorchio from Gabe.
El Scorchio from Gabe.
Indeed. Yeah, just a magical find. And so I think it's, again, demonstrative of where cider is, again, from a very UK perspective, that the number of people who are making great liquids is there now, in terms of that being transferred into something and into a presentation and into a story that sort of that gets people in, and those makers getting true return on the sort of time and the effort and the cost that's gone into it to give themselves viable businesses. It's constantly moving and evolving, so it's awesome. Good on them. The third cider is actually a Perry, and it comes from Mr. Tom Oliver. It's his Keeved number 6, which is just joyousness personified. You know, Keeve drinks generally aren't my personal preference.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's again a little bit
in touch.
A little bit in terms of.
That's what he told you.
I know. A little
Featured
bit
it in the book.
There was a picture and everything.
Oh dear.
You had a picture of both of them.
Hello, Gabe. It's the cider mole here.
If I could see, I'd be crying now.
Did you ever watch The Animals of Farthing Wood?
Oh, you know, I had subscribed to the magazine, Gabe. I was fucking obsessed with The Animals of Farthing Wood.
Molly.
Badger, are we nearly there?
It's okay, Molly. You come with me.
Oh, thank you, Badger.
Isn't that our relationship?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
You are a badger.
Molly.
One or the other. Anyway,
No, Gabe's badger.
So, Keeve number 6.
that's how good this berry is.
Do you know that, like, no, on you go, Gabe.
No, Grant, tell us the story now.
It wasn't a story. It was just, I was going to talk about the cider, but it's fine. You talk about it.
All right.
Keeve number 6 it's a lesson in balance, because it's got to have that intensity of sweetness, but to still really appeal to me with that amazing, piercing but perfectly poised acidity, sort of slightly electric and racy and minerally, but with that really nice grippy astringency coming from, I don't know whether it's the Butt or the Oldfield or something within the Perry. It's just so clever, and anytime I use it in a tasting session, invariably it comes out at the top. And that could be adjacent to, actually, it could be a crowd that really, really likes the dry ciders, but it's just an appreciation for the craft and the skill that's gone into it. It being a Perry as well, which is always a little bit more susceptible to turning to shit. So the fact that it's just as clean as can be, it's a magic drink.
So, we're talking about the technical prowess of it and everything, how has Tom made it like that? You're saying like the perfectly balanced sugar. So does he keeve one variety and then it's a blend between them and then pasteurize? Like, do you know how he's got that kind of balance?
That is a good question. With the Kiev, I'm not so sure whether he is blending post, fruit going together in the initial kind of pressing. I'm not sure whether the addition of a fully dry or with that amount of residual sorbitol unfermentable sugar that's in there going into something Kieved, whether that messes up with the balance. The short answer is that's a good question. I don't know, but I think he definitely has an intention and an idea and a knowledge that in order to go into those Kieved perries, there has to be those varieties that do display high levels of acidity, something like the Thorn or the gin, and those things that do have the structure, like the gin and the butt, to get in there.
I'm very surprised that you would choose that, Gabe.
I'm a man full of surprises, Grant.
I know you are. Well, seemingly so. Because I don't think I've had this is the latest one, right?
I don't think it's I think there is a number 7 as well.
It might be 7, yeah.
Yeah,
so you might have 7 in the shop, and I haven't got one of those because the last one I felt was too sweet. Not I know it's a Keith
I haven't
Perry,
got
it's
number
gonna be
7 because
sweet,
number 6 was too sweet, but you're just saying 6 is great. Are you saying you had the same Perry? Or in the same series?
Well, that's why I was asking, because I'm sure I thought the one we had was 7 in the shop, and I haven't got a bottle of it because the previous one that I'd had, I thought it was too sweet for me. For me, just like, it's a Keeved Perry, so it's obviously going to be sweet.
Was it like 2.8% or something like that? There was like a Keeved Perry he had that was like real low.
Well, his next big thing, the Keeved Cider's 2.8.
Yeah.
Crazy. No, the number 7 comes in I think at 3.3. This one is I can't remember.
I mean, it was. I'm surprised that you're because you're not generally a sweet.
No, but it's just so intense of flavor characters that it's just brimming and it's bursting. And also having once sort of selected it and doing a bit of research, also saw that Adam Wells from Cider Review, he had it as well in his top as well. And actually, big shout out to Adam. He's having taken a bit of a time out from Cider Review at the moment. So I wanted to say thank you, Adam, for all of your hard work and contribution towards cider scene. Your
crazy amount of hard work.
Yeah.
Too much. Man. Genuinely, I said to him when I saw him, like, what the fuck? Like, it's hard enough to wrangle us together. I cannot imagine making an article where each one is that intricate again and again and again. Especially now, where cider's actually fast paced. It wasn't a case of like, oh, we're doing this annual release. He was on it. So to get across the magnitude is impossible. So service to the man. And,
but also enjoy your break.
Absolutely.
Go and
look
after yourself.
You can always do what we did and just kind of half cock out and then lean in for a little bit of a festive joy and just go back out and then come back in when Gabe gets Action Bronson. Those are the kind of moves.
Yeah. Don't wait up.
Adam, if you have a contact for Action Bronson, just use it, but pass it on to us.
Yeah. If you know anyone who knows Questlove, just give him a hoot.
That would be appreciative. Thank you. So that's my top 3. There we go. There were lots of others that I could have chosen, but those are the ones that really sort of stood out. So.
Before we go on to Scott, then, because it's a different market, are there any makers that weren't on that list for us 3 in the UK that we can give a quick shout out to while we're here on a cider specific podcast?
Well, I would certainly mention Wilding as having a potential top 3 of their own, to be honest.
Their Foxwell Dabnet was so perfectly disgorged. It was just mad.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
I could almost smell how good the disgorgement was on it. Wilding Caledonian, obviously, Ryan, I think his the North and South vintage of this year was fantastic.
The Spiders really worked hard.
Yeah, Spiders really made it. You, Martyn, have you got any?
I know I was there. Pilton.
Aye.
He's been cracking out bangers this year. I've not had Matt's bike since before its release, and that's another one where I'm like, I've got to grab a bottle. And congrats to Matt, who it's named after, for recently having a baby. So you've got that. And another, I know it wasn't on the list there, but the Fickle Mistress from Tom was a cider that a Perry that I had recently that we were like a little point going, fuck, this tastes mad. But other than that, do you know what? Pulped Flair has kept me going because the mother-in-law can get it at Tesco's, and I have had one every other weekend and absolutely adored it. So guys at Pulped, thank you for keeping me going.
Absolutely. To add to that list, also Bushel and Peck, who continue to make just eminently drinkable drinks.
You can tell how well bottled their ciders are as well.
Particularly well bottled. There's a I don't know. I don't know. So Bushel and Peck, and also shout out to Udder's Orchard, who are in Huddersfield. A guy called Dave, and we did a tasting session in Leeds for the Leeds launch of Martyn British Cider, and every drink that he brought along was exceptional, really enjoyable, and again proving that there's an awesome northern kind of cider scene going on at the moment. Even all the way up to Scotland. Care No More, this little cider and fruit wine maker they're in Fifeshire, right, Grant? Perthshire. And their King Jimmy cider, which is made from this unknown variety, only 5 trees on an island in the river on a golf course. And it came out like it tasted like a margarita. It was all salty and limes and heather. It was bonkers and really tasty. It was lush.
All right, Scotty boy.
All right.
Number 1, Questlove.
Number 20.
All right. And I'll preface this by saying that these ciders, I think only one actually came out in 2021. So but these are just my favorite ciders that I tried this year. And not in any particular order, starting with Eve's Albee Hill, which you guys so generously sent me. That was quite a game changer for me.
The quality of your drinking game has gone up so much that that's like the first entry. Like, number 1, Albee Hill. A little cider.
Well, it was such a game changer for me because I'd tried, being on the show and having had some cider in my life before. I've had ciders, but that was so different than anything I'd ever had. It just opened up the game in terms of me understanding cider at a new level with the still and just the artistry of it and the delicacy of it. It was pretty mind blowing. So that definitely, and you guys have all had, I think I had 2019. I assume you guys have had that one.
Yeah, that was the one that we had. But had you ever had a cider with a cork in it, like still?
At that point, no.
Because we're still struggling with that over the UK. Like that's like a new thing here.
Oh, really?
So the fact that on your list is like this, like
interesting.
So progressive.
You went straight in there.
And then my second would be one I mentioned in a recent episode, which was the West County cider, the Redfield.
Yeah.
That was also a corked cider. It's not still, but just the palate of that one was really different and unique. And it was tart. It was light. It was just a lot of things that I hadn't had in a single cider before. And it really, again, was one of those game changers for me in just understanding cider. And then the last one was an early one that I got during the show that I found nearby here, and it's from Ace, which is a California cider maker, and it was their kind of premium one called Blackjack 21, which I do believe was a 21 vintage. And that was just one of those where I realized it was 750 ml bottle, and I realized I liked it, and I went and got a couple more bottles, and that was one of those that, like Martyn says, is just smashable. Like I could just knock those bottles out, no problem. So I was like, oh, I must really like this cider. It had a little bit of tartness that I wasn't used to in some ciders, a little kick to it that I wasn't used to, but extremely enjoyable.
Was that the cider that you drank and you said to us, if you ask me anything, I'll fucking tell you anything?
I think it was, actually. I think you're right. I think it was.
You ask me any question, I'll fucking tell you.
Yeah. Yes, I did. That was one of the 2 ciders I had that night that were 750 ml bottles. So I did 2 750s, and for me, that was a lot. So
it's pretty. I think it's pretty boozy. It's a
it's
single
9.
variety.
Yeah, I think it's close to 9. Yeah,
9.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we had that with the Tanaki ones where I necked that bottle. I was like, this is delicious. They was like, yeah, it's like 8.5. I was like, oh, whoa. Bye. Oh my God. With the sunlight you guys have out there, it seems that nature wants booze in that country of yours.
yes, for
Martyn,
sure.
just to say, I think it's actually Tanuki rather than Tanaki. So I'll just leave that right there. Just
and you've studied geography, so you know straight off the bat how to pronounce it.
That's. Oh, look at this. Yes, interestingly, Ace has just been purchased by like a sort of wine distribution company. So they're no longer in family ownership. Interesting to see what happens. I think they're trying to get it into the UK as well. So maybe there'll be some Blackjack 21, which I think is the name of the brand rather than the vintage, because it couldn't have been the 21 vintage if you had it earlier in the year.
It could have been if it was
Southern Hemisphere.
No, if it was cold stored fruit and then pressed and then young and quick. Because I thought about,
but he drank it in March.
Yeah. If it was pressed in like January, well, we've already had 2021 ciders here.
Yeah, but we drank it before the 2021 harvest had even occurred. You can't.
Yeah,
Thanks for trying, Martyn. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I have had enough.
No, you're losing, Martyn.
Yeah.
You're right.
Gabe, I think it's, I believe, not the science.
Gabe, mention the book.
One British cider.
And then my shout out for a few other brands out here in the States. I'll obviously Ancho, Artifact, friends of the show, the Alpenfire, which I mentioned.
Not Ancho.
Ancho is not friends of the show.
The way you said it was like Ancho, Artifact. Oh, friends of the show.
I meant both. I meant both.
Okay.
Was there a comma in there or something like that? You see, it's hard to pick up the grammar when
your
you're
mate
speaking,
Questlove would get it, wouldn't he?
Oh, God.
Questlove, enemy of the show.
God. So friends of the show, Ancho, friends of the show, Tanuki, friends of the show, Artifact. Also, I had the Alpenfire, which was up in Seattle, and Raging here in San Diego. So those are the ones I'll shout out.
What a list. And also Grant, enemy of the show. Oh, wow. I hurt my face. Holy shit.
Well, there we go. That wraps up our.
Isn't it?
That was the year that was 2021 via the media of TV and of movie, of cultural movement, of music, and most importantly, of ciders. A great range, a great selection. Let's hope that 2022, certainly from a cider perspective, will go even further. We will just have to wait and see. So there we go. We hope you enjoyed this special year in review bonus episode of the Cider Hotel. We're not exactly sure when another episode will be out, but until then, we hope you have an amazing year in 2022. Wassail to you all. Wassail.